Item 3 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement between the City of Elgin and the Board of Education of School District U46, providing for school resource officers.
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and second for approval. Any discussion? Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. This has certainly been a topic of discussion over the last couple of weeks, specifically during the last City Council meeting. And certainly I manifested my opposition to this proposal. And what I want the public to know is that I'm going to remain consistent with that position that I had as well during the last City Council meeting. I went forward and I did my own independent research, and it was pretty cursory, but nonetheless it opened my eyes to some of the issues involving the SROs within the various different schools across the country, and some even locally as well. And I was surprised to see some of the data or some of the information that I got back, specifically from the various different federations of teachers across the country, but very specifically the American Federation of Teachers. And looking at some of this information, I figured out that even the American Federation of Teachers wasn't necessarily comfortable with having the SROs in most of their schools. I don't think they went or had a position specifically, but most of them, when they did a survey, were not comfortable as it relates to the SROs within the school systems. They found that other strategies involving counselors, guidance counselors, and teacher and parent involvement were actually more effective in terms of making sure that issues were resolved within the school system. I also looked at the Chicago Teachers Union, and they're adamantly opposed to SROs. CPS, and not to say that we're comparing ourselves to them, has cut the budget specifically as it relates to SROs. And if you read the various articles out there, the literature, there are various different municipalities across the country where their intent is essentially to phase out the SROs and to figure out a more comprehensive, viable plan that could be more effective specifically for communities of color. So at this point in time, not having necessarily all the data from District U46, I posed the question last time how the teachers felt specifically about the SROs being in the classroom. I don't believe that we have that data at this point in time. In fact, I would actually side with one of my colleagues that serves on the school board that was looking for further information about parents and their involvement and feedback from the students as well. I'd like to also see that information come in front of me so I could further evaluate this. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm not going to continue having this conversation with our police department, with city staff, and U46 as it relates to different alternative proposals. But at this point in time, without having a complete product in front of me, I am not inclined to support this initiative this evening. So I will be voting no. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Ms. Powell.